Welcome to part 10 of an interview with author Roman Harambura as Kuntarkis on his book The Dream Assassin Volume 1. Let's continue with this question. You mentioned not long ago that you may be running some new seminars. Where were you intending to run the seminars?
In the future to come, Michael, the first seminar would be on the art of self-rejuvenation. It would be based in how our thoughts, be it negative or positive, creates and manifests the health of our human body 100%. All ill health, especially diseases, are created and manifested by our own self-created conditioning. And in most cases, it is passed on to the newborn child through genetic transfer from parents to child. Many people still don't believe that, yet it is total reality. My aim with my wife Misha would be to run the seminar at the Bundle Entertainment Centre, mainly because of the large car parking facility, as well as it holds a large audience, easy to get into as well as leaving.
Why the art of self-rejuvenation?
Even though The Dream Assassin Volume 1 doesn't mention the meaning of the art of self-rejuvenation, it expresses a lot about the human body and pure living energy by the main character, Mystical Man, in how he creates through manifestation the substance called living energy, bringing that manifestation into physical reality. And that's what I did in 1988 when I learned all about pure living energy and how to use it in healing of my own human lungs. I was told by a doctor that I would be dead within 11 months if I didn't have surgery and chemotherapy. I made my choice to live or even to perish. Yet here I am in 2026. Now physically, I am 75 human years old. I believe beyond all doubt in pure living energy. From what I discovered, lots of people are looking deeper for answers, and they are not finding those answers in the so-called normal mainstream line. These simple little phrases I said and still say today. I am ageless, I am timeless, I am endless. My human body lives in total health in every moment of every breath. I am living energy, creating living consciousness within my own being. I am that I am.
I like those little affirmations. If you're going to run seminars, whatever they may be, would you also be promoting your books, like non-fiction as well as fiction? Is that something you would be doing?
Yes, absolutely. It would also help in a big way in getting not only a literary agent, but also an old traditional publisher. I self-published my first three books, which were Entrapment, followed by the Book of Knowledge I Am Alien, then The Dream Assassin Volume 1. I learned a very big lesson that no disrespect to self-publishing companies, but in today's life, the scammers have increased madly worldwide. So now I have completed four books called Entrapment, The Pathway to Freedom, Entanglement, The Long Journey Home, and The Dream Assassin Volume 2, as well as The World Conspiracy Volume 1, which are ready for publishing. But I am looking, but need a good, honest, motivated literary agent, 100%.
That's brilliant. I want to ask you, did you do any research in writing The Dream Assassin Volume 1?
If you're asking from a physical perspective, my answer would have to be no, I didn't. But if you're asking from a spiritual perspective, my answer would be yes. The only research that I did came from my dream experiences that I had within the spirit world being fourth dimensional. I will admit, while I was writing, I would have sudden visions that came from within me, which I added to my book. The other thing I found fascinating was feeling through visualization all different characters, even the dialogue came to me, even repeated itself, like someone was telling me, especially if my typing was a little slow. That made me feel good. It's like I knew exactly where I was going with the entire book.
I'm not sure if I should ask you this question, but I will anyway. While you were typing The Dream Assassin Volume 1, on average, how many pages would you type in a day?
That's a very hard question to answer, my friend, mainly because of the time factor. I am working too. Most times I get, say, 2 to 3 hours each day, being normally 5 days per week. On school holidays that run for 2 weeks at a time, and there is 4 lots of holidays per year, then there are 6 weeks at Christmas. So this is only an average. I would say around anything from 6 to 12 pages per day in that time factor. But I have to say this, when doing my books, meaning writing, I have discovered within my own essence, I can look up to 30 pages ahead and know exactly where it's taking me. So if I wrote, say, 15 pages in that day, when I come back the next day, I simply take off from where I stopped the day before or even a week ago. It just flows out of me, which I find quite amazing.
Wow, that's incredible. How do you think you do it?
Well, look at it this way. We each as humans are more than what we have been taught. If we go beyond the human logical brain of self-conditioning, we can each connect to our mind, which is pure living energy. From that, we open a doorway to our greatest gift called imagination. That gives us each the ability to connect to who we truly are, the soul. That's where all infinite knowledge comes from. And over 56 to 57 human years, I have spent and learnt how to connect to my own soul because we each are pure living energy and we are all pure living consciousness in the making.
I can kind of understand what you said just above. Is there a physical way of doing that, what you just explained?
Yes, there is. The one that I have experienced is a good way of developing one's connection to higher viewings beyond the normal way of thinking. From what I discovered years ago, countries like Russia, China, Australia, England, and Germany use a device called remote viewing. Now, remote viewing is a system that was started by the KGB in Russia a long time ago through the Cold War, where they would go into a room and sit down and practice a type of meditation to see what they could manifest through a vision in front of themselves, like an actual pictures. Over a period of time, they began to realize that they could see certain pictures or forms coming together, and they would write everything down automatically, compiling it all to see if that's going to help them have an average or an advantage over somebody else, whether it's a country or themselves or another government. It became a really big thing, a big secret. I purchased the remote viewing product, then read all the instructions and practiced the whole system for nearly 5 human years and achieved so much from doing that. That's how I believe my real visions have come forward so fast in this present reality of time. We each need to spend more time in developing our own creativeness, our inner thoughts of consciousness, but completely away from the human brain of ego's logic.
Wow, that's meaningful, but so deep. I think it would take me at least several more lifetimes. Okay, back to your book, The Dream Assassin Volume 1. You actually touched on this earlier, but I wanted to fully ask the question. When you created or imagined your characters, being your main characters, you wrote a description in the front pages of your book, knowing full well that you wrote the book so it could be created into a movie or two. Do you use your imagination to, say, pick a certain actor that you feel may fit the part of your upcoming movie, maybe from your book, or would you share those actors in this book or the podcast?
Absolutely, my friend, absolutely. When I started writing the books, being volume 1 and 2 of The Dream Assassins, I was completely amazed and couldn't wait to go to bed and venture into my deep dream state, which, by the way, were not just dreams. They were actual, real creations through my thought consciousness. Most people would find it hard to believe, yet it is the individual that needs to change the one's old conditioning and venture beyond yourself to a new level of understanding, a new level of thinking. I remember in a dream state seeing Nicolas Cage, the actor. As I was walking down a street, he was standing there in a long cape with long hair put back in a ponytail. As he stood there, he looked like a magician. As I watched him, he started to create these energy balls. I felt in that present moment he was showing me his diversity when it came to being an actor, that he could play any character, including Mystical Man. Then I suddenly put my thought concentration onto the character called Frank Hartley, the journalist, saying, I wonder who could play the part of Frank Hartley. Well, it's like my physical consciousness was so connected to my spiritual consciousness that when I went back into my dream state, and it didn't take long for me to see the character because I was playing out that character. I saw myself as Frank Hartley, but at that same time seeing the actor John Cusack, and I felt instantly he could be a big possibility. Then I thought about the character Philip Dustin, the entrepreneur who promoted all the magic shows. He's tall, he looks powerful, and he's very rich. He would make the perfect promoter. So I could see all these different actors. Also, the character Edward Keenan, the events manager coordinator at the Yankee Stadium, who would play that important role. To me, there was only one, and his name was well known as an actor. He was called Danny DeVito. So I wrote him also as that character into my book, The Dream Assassin, Volume 1 and 2. Then I had a thought. What happens if he does not want to play that role? Or maybe he's just too old. I instantly saw Jack Black, the actor. He also would play that role perfectly. And that was how my deep dream state experiences went on for many nights over several months. And that's how I created the actors in my book.
Yeah, I see. Just a question about who will play the character Jasmine Forbes. Have you seen who would play that role?
Yes, there was an actress called Zoe Claire Deschanel who did play the role in the series called Bones. I felt she would also be perfect for that role as Jasmine Forbes. But time changes everything. The actress I feel that would fit that role perfectly, her name is Scarlett Johansson, who I believe has played some major roles in about 40 movies. So I feel she would be perfect for that role as Jasmine Forbes, who has a twin sister. In my book, The Dream Assassin, Volume 1, and married to Tyron Getty. And she, being Sharon Getty, is murdered with her two children by serial murderers.
With the main character you called Mystical Man, if you had a choice to say who would play that part, who would you pick for the second choice?
Yes, there's an actor who played the role in Star Trek, the movie, as well as Lord of the Rings, and also in Pete's Dragon. I'm just not too sure of his actual name.
That was Carl Urban, the actor.
That's him. Carl Urban. Yes, that's the man. I believe he would play that part of Mystical Man very well.
Why do you think he could?
Well, personally, he would play that part very professionally because he has got that type of face where he can show anger, being happy, interesting smile. He also shows a face of deep curiosity and can be quite cheeky in his manner, be it positive or negative. He also has a very strong presenting character, like he played in The Lord of the Rings. His facial expressions show actual reality. That proves he has a strong acting character. As the writer of Dream Assassin Volume 1 and 2, more than likely the producer would not ask my opinion.
Now that you have explained it in that way, yes, he would be good for that part. Yeah, I can see that. Well, Roman Kuntarkis, we are coming to the end of this 10-part interview on your book, The Dream Assassin Volume 1. It's been a long journey, and we've split it into 10 parts on the podcast kuntarkis.buzzsprout.com for people to listen to, as well as this upcoming book that has been converted from audio to text form and edited none other by Roman Harambura as Kuntarkis, which contains all the interviews on not only his published books, but his present books waiting to be published by a traditional publisher. I want to say congratulations to the listeners or readers who've made it this far, and I'm sure people do appreciate the depth of knowledge that you went into, especially on the different subjects of life. It's been valuable for me personally, and I am sure also that many people as well enjoyed the depth that you gave them. Let me just ask you, where can people purchase this book you call The Dream Assassin Volume 1, or your other books at this time?
Internet stores especially, example like, say, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, booktopia.com.au, partridgepublishing.com, abebooks.com, readings.com.au. You can buy my books directly also from me, as well as having it signed personally. My email address is Kuntarkis, that's Kuntarkis, @gmail.com. Once you email me to purchase my book, I will return an email with details of purchasing. My website is www.etcconsciousness.com. One of the things I have to say, Michael, in what you just said above, I really appreciate your kindness in words and for also taking the time to interview me on my new book. I also want to let the readers of books know that The Dream Assassin Volume 2 is a continuation from Chapter 7 being Volume 1 into Chapter 8 being Volume 2. And if reader or readers were shocked by some of the knowledge that was contained within my book, or you felt a form of being enlightened or amazed by Volume 1, in some of the magic I created, or even the type of characters, or even the storyline, maybe even the description, well, you just wait until you read The Dream Assassin Volume 2, because it does carry on from Chapter 7 to Chapter 8. And in Chapter 8, it is very significant where Mystical Man really creates some tremendous magic, especially to annihilate a race of aggressive aliens, even though he truly didn't want to, but he had no choice. It was for the survival of all humanity, and that's that.
Thank you. Keep tuned in as the interview for Roman as Kuntarkis is about to become reality for The Dream Assassin Volume 2.